Hey there guys, this is Showcase Watches. Today bringing you a quick video about the Amiga SPEEDMASTER Professional. This is the 3861. This is the replacement of the 1861. This is the 2021 release Amiga SPEEDMASTER with the caliber 3861. It's the Hesselite glass, and as I mentioned, it is the replacement of the 1861. And I've just recently purchased this watch. You guys know I'm a massive Amiga fan. I love Amiga watches, and particularly the Moonwatch. And I just wanted to talk to you guys about this watch and give you my opinions. Now, this watch has been reviewed to death. It's massively hyped at the moment. Every YouTuber has done their take on this watch, and they've done a review of this watch. They've talked about the movement, they've talked about the bracelet, they've talked about the clasp, they've talked about every aspect of this watch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my opinions on this watch, because what's the point of me doing a review of the watch, sit behind the camera and talk about this and the Hesselite and blah, blah, blah. It's been done to death, and there's YouTubers far better than myself have done this. So why should I try? What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my opinions of the watch. I'm going to answer some questions that have been raised about the watch and give you my, hand on heart, honest opinion, which is what my channel's, all about. So as I mentioned, this is the 3861. So the 3861 is the modern day Moonwatch movement, so it went from the 321, then it went to the 861, then it went to the 1861, and now it's gone to the 3861. Now, in short, I am not a watchmaker. I'm not a watch movement expert, so I'm not going to try and explain all the individual pieces of the movement. All I can tell you is this: it's more reliable, it's got better power reserve, it's anti-magnetic to 15,000 Gauss, it's a better robust, shock-resistant movement, whereas the previous models didn't have any of that. This watch is COSC certified and METAS, so it's gone through rigorous testings and is regulated. The 1861 didn't go through any of that testing, so the movement inside this, in short, is just better in every way, shape and form, and it's actually arguably better suited for space flight. It is, because it's anti-magnetic and it's got those properties, it's the better movement for a Moonwatch. That's just fact. But it is still a hand-wound movement, so it's basically the 2021 version of the 321 with all the modern tech and the coaxial escapement, etc. If you want more detail about the movement, check it out. You can read up on it, you can check on YouTube, but for me to regurgitate that would just be copying somebody else's work. So I'm not going to do it. I'm not an expert on the movements. That's about all I know. The watch itself, there's recently been some talk about the watch has been a little bit sharp, and people have been complaining that the watch was sharp. I actually made a video about this, and I had to get the watch. I wanted to get the watch to find out if it is actually as sharp as what people are saying. And what they're referring to is on the case back, where you've got on the insides here, on these edges, and you've also got around here, they're saying that this is sharp. Now look, right, I'm rubbing my fingers on that hard, really hard. Nothing. It's not sharp. I would say it's been machine cut. It's been machined extremely well. It's like a perfection edge. It could give the impression of being sharp. I get that. I can get how you might perceive it to be sharp, but it's not. This wouldn't cut paper. This wouldn't even cut a leaf. This isn't sharp. I can see why people think it could be, because when you run your finger against it, it's a definite edge. It's a definite precise edge. It's not sharp. So I would say it's a precise edge, a well-machined edge, but definitely not sharp. So, that puts that to bed. This watch is not a sharp watch. The wearability of this watch is absolutely phenomenal, and that is thanks to we've still got the 32mm case. It is a little bit shorter on the lugs by, I think, 0.7 of a mil, which amazingly has made a difference. It has just sort of squashed it down a little bit. It's a little bit thinner, but the main difference is in the bracelet. Now, the bracelet it's vintage. It is modern build quality, but vintage inspired. I mean, if you look at that bracelet, it is just absolute. It's just such a fluid bracelet, and you can see how the links sort of fall back on themselves, and if I do that, that probably gives it a better, it's just pure fluid on the bracelet. And what this basically does is, because the bracelet falls straight down, it basically makes the watch wear a lot better, and this watch will be perfect for people with smaller wrists, because the previous model, it sort of, you know, on the end, it bulked out the watch more. So it was the previous the 1861 was more for a bigger guy, whereas this one can be worn by a big guy, a small guy, it doesn't really matter. The bracelet is super comfortable, because of the way it's constructed, and because each link has 5 pieces. You can't really see it in the video, but the center links here actually have like a little spacer in them, and that is separate. That is a separate piece. On the sapphire crystal version, they're actually polished, but on the Hesalite, that is actually left as a matte finish. Because this is a 5-piece link, there is a little bit to snag hair. So when you run the watch over your wrist to put it on, you could snag a little bit, snag a little bit of hair when it goes over the wrist. Not every time, but it could happen. It has happened to me, so I get why people say it can catch the hair a little bit. But remember, the bracelet of this watch is vintage. It's modern build quality, but it's vintage inspired. So the way it's constructed, I can't really see a way around it not catching a little bit of hair. If you've owned vintage Speedmasters, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've owned vintage Jubilees, Rolex Jubilees, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's the same thing. So it's no issue. In short, it's absolutely no issue. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful Amiga clasp. This clasp is absolutely beautiful. Now, there's been a couple of criticisms of this clasp, that it's maybe a little bit small. Yes, it's certainly smaller than the 1861, 100%. And if you hold this clasp up against even like a Rolex Submariner or a GMT, it's smaller. Again, it's vintage. This is what Amiga are trying to do. Amiga are trying to go back to what they were, and they're trying to bring a bit of a reissue of the bracelet and clasp. It's almost like a reissue clasp, but with a modern take. And what they've done is they've given it, vintage dimensions, but with modern build quality. So yeah, of course it's a bit smaller. Back in the 60s and 70s, people didn't want a great big chunky bracelet. That's what this watch is, and this is what Amiga, they're trying to do. On the dial of the watch, they have done the step dial. Beautiful. It gives the dial so much depth. And I don't know if this is me, but when I hold this watch next to my 1861, this dial is blacker in appearance. My 1861 has more of a grey aesthetic. This has a real nice, dark, deep luster to it, and it's absolutely beautiful. And the indices almost have, it's not a faux patina. It looks like a little bit of creaming on the patina, on the indices. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. They've done such a good job with this of Amiga. They've put the dot over 90. So again, another vintage reference to the past. I think what Amiga have done is they've taken the best of Amiga Speedmaster and put it all into one watch. I think that's the best way to sum this watch up. They haven't tried to rob Peter to pay Paul on this watch. I think what they've done is they've looked at the line of Speedmasters and they've said the best bit of that Speedmaster is this, the best bit of that Speedmaster is this. They've taken it all, they put it into one watch, and that's what you've got here. And the 3861, it's fantastic. It really is fantastic. I can't speak highly enough for this watch. Is there any downsides of this watch? Sure. If you want it to be a modern Speedmaster, if you want the big bracelet, if you want the big clasp, buy the 1861. The 1861 is the big chunkier clasp, the chunkier bracelet. But if you want a wearable everyday watch, the 3861 is the one to go for, 100%. And the beauty is because this watch is METAS and COSC certified, it means it's gone through all its rigorous testing. And water resistance. Now, people have always said, don't bath, don't shower, don't swim with a Speedmaster. This watch, because it has gone through the certification process, this watch has already been submerged to 50 metres, or pressure tested to 50 metres. It's already been tested for that. This watch has physically been tested for water resistance. Why can't you shower in it? Why can't you bath in it? Why can't you swim in it? Of course you can. You know, this watch has warranty on it. It's got 5 years warranty. I'll wear this in the bath, in the shower, and I'll swim with this watch. If it lets water in, I'll be straight on Amiga's doorstep and saying, hey, you guys said this was 50 metres. It's not. I showered in it, it leaked. It's not going to happen. Yeah, sure, the previous models, definitely, they weren't tested to 50 metres. They were physically submerged in water and tested to that. And the models before that obviously weren't. The main thing is, if you're going to swim or if you're going to do anything like that with these watches, you've got to check your seals. And the recommendation is to check your seals once a year. Service these watches probably every 8 years, but check your seals every year. If you're not going to get it wet, don't worry about your seals. Just get your seals done when you get a service. But if you're going to use this watch on a daily basis and get it wet and shower in it and bath in it and swim in it, check your seals every 12 months and it'll be fine. Be absolutely fine. Got to talk about value. Is this watch worth its money? Yeah, I think 100%. If you look at something like a Rolex Explorer, it's the same price. Check that video out. I did the review on the Rolex Explorer a couple of weeks ago. I own that watch. This is definitely more impressive. This is definitely more interesting to look at. It's still an icon. It's a classic and an icon. I would prefer to have this than the Explorer, without a shadow of a doubt. But, you know, I am an Amiga fanboy. I am biased towards Amiga. It's lose a bit of money. If you pay retail for this watch, you are going to lose a little bit of money on it. But if you buy it on the pre-owned market or get a discount on it, you're going to be fine. You're going to be absolutely no problem at all. So don't worry about it. It's not a watch that you're going to buy today at retail, put in the safe, and it's going to be worth a fortune in the future. That's never going to happen. Never going to happen. If you're looking for investment potential, you're looking at Rolex. If you're looking for just an enjoyment watch, look at Amiga. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The chronograph function on it is so smooth. So you start it at the top there, you stop it, you reset it. It's just such a smooth action. The 3861 is just absolutely stunning. It's a well-decorated movement as well. Although it is a non-display back on this particular model, you can get the sapphire sandwich, which is I suppose you can say the upgrade to this. So the sapphire version actually has the little bits, the little spaces in the center links. They are polished. You've got a display sapphire crystal display back, and you've got an applied logo, Amiga logo on the dial. That's the differences between the sapphire and the Hesselite. The reason why I've gone for the Hesselite is because, you know, I wear these watches. I use these watches. You know, you can see I'm outdoors. I'm out, you know, in the middle of nowhere. I bash about with my watches. Hesselite will scratch. It will scuff. It's difficult to crack or shatter. Sapphire crystal is difficult to scratch, very easy to shatter, and to, you know, smash it into a million pieces. And I'll tell you something, if you're going to wear a watch and replace a crystal or replace a glass down the line, I'd much rather replace a sapphire crystal, a Hesselite crystal, than I would a sapphire crystal. The Hesselite is so much cheaper than the sapphire to repair and replace. And the other thing that I love about the Hesselite is the fact that you can do what you like with this watch. It does not show fingerprints. It's always got the same aesthetic on the Hesselite in comparison to the sapphire, where the sapphire, you can press the sapphire and you've got fingerprints all over it. And that's one of the reasons why I like the Hesselite versions. It's got a more of a tool watch aesthetic about it. So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like this watch? I suppose the main question is if you've got an 1861 Speedmaster, would you buy or should you buy the 3861? And here's my advice on that. I believe there is room in every collection for both watches. I think you can have an 1861 and a 3861. But here's my advice. If you have an 1861 Hesselite glass, get the 3861 with sapphire. Because the sapphire 3861, the 3861 is an absolutely stunning, well-decorated movement. If you're going to have a display back, get it with the 3861. Equally, if you've got the 1861 sapphire sandwich, get the 3861 Hesselite. then you've got two watches, completely different aesthetics, different watches. So I think that a collection can have both these watches in the collection. I really do. I don't think you need to say I have the 1861 or the 3861. I think you can say you've got both. So let me know what you guys think. Don't forget, drop a like, leave me a comment, check out the rest of the channel. You guys know I love watches. I love Rolex, I love Amiga, I love Tudor. I just love watches, guys. So, you know, check out the rest of the channel, and don't forget to leave me a subscribe. I would much appreciate it. So thanks for watching, guys, and take it easy. See you in the next one.